Hey, welcome back, Math Gurus. In this video, we're going to practice solving percent problems, but we're going to use double number lines to solve them. Okay, so for our first example, it says, out of 850 visitors at the Houston Zoo, 32% had a summer pass. How many of the visitors did not have a summer pass? Okay, so the double number line, the bottom number line, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. You could, however it works for you. I'm going to use the bottom number line for my percentages. What they represent will be on the top number line. So for 100%, 850 represents 100%. Now, we're not always given 100%, it just depends. So for 0%, we know it's 0. Now, if I wanted to figure out what 50% was, I would just divide 100% by 2, meaning I also have to divide 850 by 2 to get 425. Well, I'm not interested in 50%. I'm actually interested in 32%. Now, 32% is a little harder to get to, so we'll go to 10%. So 100% divided by 10 will give me 10%. And to keep my ratios equivalent, I'm going to also divide 850 by 10, which will give me 85. I can triple 10%. And that will give me 30%. It gets me pretty close, but it's not exactly where I need it to be. I'll triple 85. 85 plus 85, 170, plus another 85, 255. Okay, now I want to know what 2% represents. Now, I can easily go from 10% to 2% by dividing by 5. And then I'll have to divide 85 by 5, which will give me 17. Now, what I want you to notice is I figured out what 2% represents, and I figured out what 30% represents. If I add 30% plus 2%, that gives me 32%. Meaning if I add what 30% represents of 255 plus 17, that actually gives me 272. Now, it didn't ask me for this summer pass. People had asked me for the not. So that means it's going to be 850 minus 278, which will give me 5 minus 272, which will give me 578. All right, for the next example, it says there's 29 12-inch geometric floor tiles of the 50 tiles as represented by the model. What percent of the 50 tiles have a geometric pattern on them? Okay, so we're going to fill this out, and we know 0% goes here. And that would definitely be 0. We're not given any percentages. Oh, but we are given that 50 is your total, so that means 50 represents 100%. I want to know what percent 29 represents. Well, let's first figure out what 50% represents, just to kind of get an idea. Well, 50% is half of 100%. So that means I'm going to do half of 50, which will give me 25, but I'm not where I need to be. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to another percent. So I'll go with 10%. I'll divide this by 5. And then, of course, that gets divided by 5, which is 5. But 25 plus 5 is 30, so that's too much. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I don't know, let's just say 2%. 10% divided by 5 will give me 2%. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Okay, so that kind of helps if 2% represents 1. And I need to get 4 because remember I'm trying to get to 29. I'm at 25. So I need 4 more. That means it's 8% is 4. 50% is 25. So you add those up, that gives me 58%. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope it helped. I'm sorry it's kind of messy. If it did, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe.